one joke that actually saved your life? My twin, Chloe, and I were completely inseparable growing up in Ohio. Because our parents went through an incredibly messy, violent divorce, we spent half our childhood hiding in closets or sneaking out of the house. To keep each other safe, we invented a secret phrase system disguised as basic, everyday complaints. If one of us said they had a brain freeze, it meant someone was watching us. If we complained about stubbing a toe, it meant someone was lying. But there was one phrase we promised we would never, ever use unless we were staring death in the face. I lost my yellow jacket. See, when we were 10, we got lost in a dense forest during a massive thunderstorm. Chloe almost died of hypothermia because she lost her yellow rain jacket. From that day on, that exact phrase meant, I am trapped, I am going to die, find me right now. We hadn't used that code in over 14 years. We grew up, went to different colleges, and honestly, I thought we both forgot about it. When Chloe went missing 3 weeks ago, I begged the detectives to check her ex-boyfriend Damon. Damon was a deeply charming but intensely controlling guy who always seemed to know where Chloe was before she even got there. But Damon had a rock-solid alibi. He was on a business trip in Chicago the day she vanished. The police practically laughed me out of the station, telling me my sister probably just wanted a break from my constant smothering. I spent 3 agonizing weeks crying myself to sleep, staring at her empty social media profiles. Then, my phone buzzed in the dead of night. It was an iMessage from Chloe's number. My heart leaped into my throat. The text read, Hey Ethan, sorry I've been MIA. Just traveling around the coast and clearing my head. Honestly, it's beautiful here, but I'm so clumsy. I already lost my yellow jacket on the beach. Don't call, signal is terrible. I sat straight up in bed, my chest heaving. The room felt like it was spinning. I lost my yellow jacket. My mind raced back to our childhood bedroom, making that blood pact under the blankets. But that wasn't the only thing. The text said she was clearing her head. Chloe had a severe diagnosed phobia of the ocean after a near-drowning incident as a teenager. She wouldn't go to a beach for $1 million, let alone text casually about it. Someone else had her phone, or worse, someone was holding a gun to her head, forcing her to type a message to throw me off the scent. And they had no idea she had just slipped a homing beacon into the text. I immediately checked her iPhone's location, but the Find My app was completely disabled. I looked at the text again, analyzing every single word. Traveling around the coast. We live in the Midwest. There is no coast. But then it hit me. Coast was what we used to call the old abandoned roller coaster park on the edge of our hometown, Toledo. It had been shut down since the 90s and was surrounded by miles of thick, swampy woods. I knew if I called the police, they would waste hours analyzing the text, or worse, call Damon and tip him off. I couldn't risk it. I grabbed my car keys, a heavy iron tire iron from my trunk, and drove like a maniac through the pitch-black highway. When I reached the rusty perimeter fence of the abandoned amusement park, the silence was absolutely deafening. I climbed over the chain-link fence, my flashlight cutting through the thick fog. I crept past the decaying skeletal remains of the old wooden roller coaster. Deep in the center of the park, hidden behind a collapsed funhouse, I saw it. A sleek black SUV. My stomach dropped into a bottomless pit. I recognized that car. It belonged to Damon. He wasn't in Chicago. He had been here the entire time. I approached the vehicle, my hands shaking so violently I could barely hold the tire iron. The car was empty, but a faint, flickering light was coming from the basement window of the old park management office nearby. I crept over and peered through the grime-covered glass. What I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. Chloe was tied to a rusty metal chair, her face bruised and pale. Damon was standing right over her, holding her phone, screaming at her to give him the password to her banking apps. I didn't think. Pure adrenaline took over my entire body. I smashed the basement window with the tire iron, crawled through the jagged glass, ignoring the pain as it sliced my arms, and tackled Damon to the ground before he could even register what was happening. We fought brutally on the concrete floor, but I hit him squarely in the jaw with the iron rod, knocking him completely unconscious. I rushed over and untied Chloe. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing hysterically. The first thing she whispered into my neck was, I knew you'd remember the jacket. The police arrived 20 minutes later after I called 911 from Damon's phone. They found out Damon had accumulated hundreds of thousands of dollars in hidden gambling debts and planned to extort Chloe for her inheritance before making her permanently disappear. If it weren't for a silly, forgotten game 2 terrified kids played in a closet 14 years ago, my sister wouldn't be alive today.